$4 billion? What if you spent $2.5 billion and you ended up losing $40 billion? Would that be considered a good deal? I happen to say not.
The billions and billions of euros stroke dollars that you poured into the tie-up with Chrysler, which of course turned out to be an utter disaster.
Well, in hindsight, it's relatively easy to come to this conclusion.
You know, anything, almost anything at a price can be good, not everything, but anything at a certain price can be bad. I mean, if you pay too much, you pay too much.
The winner's curse has long caused issues in bidding auctions for a wide range of situations. In this video, we will aim to explain what the winner's curse actually is by using an example of the IPL auction. To go further in depth, we will apply it to M&A auctions, which is probably the setting where the winner's curse has the most vast consequences, with overbidding causing billions of dollars in lost shareholder value. We will examine the curse's main pitfalls and if anything can be done to overcome it for prospective M&A buyers.
So, what is the winner's curse? The winner's curse occurs in situations where there is an auction for a common value element, where the winner tends to overpay. It is called a curse because the successful bidder will most often overestimate the value of the auction good, so the winner will pay too much. Winner's curse may be a result of a number of factors, which include emotions, incomplete information, or a simple miscalculation regarding the item being auctioned or the project that is out to tender. Bidders may sometimes find it hard to accurately determine a project's total cost or an item's intrinsic value. Therefore, the successful bid is the one which overestimated the value of an item being auctioned or underestimated the cost of a project that was put out to tender. An example to illustrate what is meant by the winner's curse is the auction used to allocate players across teams in the Indian Premier League, also known as IPL. Each franchise needed to acquire players. It is a common value auction as each player has the same value to all the bidders, but the bidders all have different information about the players. There was no history available for any existing team, so the IPL decided to put players in auction for franchises to bid for them. The specific factors that influenced the decision of franchise owners were the nationality of the players, due to a restriction of international players in the team, the age of the players, and the status of the players.
900, 920, 950, 980 is bid, 1,000, and 50, 1,100. 50 bid now, 1,150, 1,200, straight back. Royal Challengers, Bangalore. Sold 1,200 lakh to the Royal Challengers, Bangalore.
For our next example, we will examine the impact of the winner's curse in the world of business. Many mergers and acquisitions have the potential to destroy shareholder value. It is in fact challenging to make a deal work, as issues with integration and culture clashes can destroy synergies between companies. More importantly, though, acquirers often overpay in bidding situations, as put forward by the winner's curse. Jenkins states that the existence of a winner's curse in M&A deals has become conventional wisdom. The simplest way to understand this is by thinking about the acquisition as an auction. During the auction of a firm, like every other auction, a range of bids are set. The average bid is what reflects the underlying value of the target company. However, winning bids are more than often above that average. This leads to saying that the winner is cursed, having paid more than the average or true value of the company. Such a phenomenon reflects the issue that firms often face when acquiring firms, as they do not attain the price and synergy they had expected for a certain deal. However, leaders for bidding in the situation of mergers and acquisitions tend to price the target company at a higher value from the start, and therefore are ready to pay more for it. This is because they take into account the synergy between their company and the target one after the deal is made, justifying a higher price. The magnitude of the winner's curse can sometimes differ per certain criteria. Varia puts forward that the magnitude of the curse increases with an increase in the divergence of opinions amongst acquirers with respect to the size of the takeover gains, an increase in the degree of competition for control of the target firm, and an increase in the pre-acquisition profitability of the winning bidder. Rodriguez and Higgins go further into this, stating that the extent of the winner's overbidding is positively correlated with the level of asymmetric information between acquirer and target firm. Adding to this, the winner's curse can be even more important when taking into account the post-merger costs, which can be system integration costs, rebranding costs, and communication expenses. These are all inferred in M&A transactions, but are often not taken into account when bidding. Further than overbidding, there also exist other risks to an overtaking situation, which are the selection of an incorrect target firm or failure in the integration between both firms. After evaluating the winner's curse and understanding its inherent pitfalls, a relevant follow-up question would be, is there anything that can be done by the bidder to remedy the curse and ultimately to avoid it? Turning our focus back on the example with the IPL auction, it would be impossible to mitigate the winner's curse, since it has a common value element, meaning that it has equal value to all bidders. In an auction concerning a common value asset, it is best to bid with cautions, since winning could result in negative outcome. In this case, considering one's BATNA is imperative, and if your best alternative to winning the auction is to not win the auction, then tailor your bidding accordingly to head off the need to succeed at all costs. However, in many situations, an asset up for bidding does not only constitute of common value, but also private value, meaning that it offers different unique values for each bidder that is dependent on their individual utilization of the asset. If the asset is a hybrid between common and private value, the bidder must assess if the private value is high enough so it's worth winning the auction. If this is the case, the private value derived from the utilization of the asset can spur one's individual value so that it is higher than the winning bid. Hence, if one of the bidders have a comparative advantage to utilize the asset effectively, they will be able to post a higher bid as the asset's value is higher for them. In order to further improve our understanding of how private value affects auctions, a useful example to illustrate this is by looking at M&A bidding auctions and how strategic and financial potential buyers behave differently. Simplified, financial buyers can be classified as investors with the objective of generating a return of the asset by increasing its value over a few years and then selling it for a profit. The most common type of financial buyers are private equity firms. Contrastingly, strategic buyers are interested in companies that fit well with their own operations and can generate value to the buyer's long-term business plans. This can be accomplished through a wide spectrum of different types of deals, such as buying one's competitors or suppliers, but it is all done for the same reason, to generate positive synergies and create value. These potential synergies are the private value part of the target company. Therefore, due to the synergies that can materialize in a strategic acquisition, strategic buyers have traditionally been considered to have an important advantage over financial buyers. Consequently, if the seller wants the highest price possible, a strategic buyer would be the likely outcome of the auction, as it would not be as constrained by the winner's curse as their financial counterparts.
To recap, the winner's curse occurs when a common good value is being auctioned. Real-life examples of this phenomenon are found everywhere. In the world of business, mergers and acquisitions experience winner's curse. As firms are bidding to acquire another, synergies are overestimated and anti-synergies are ignored to justify a higher bid. To counteract the winner's curse would be to consider the private value of each bidder dependent on their individual utilization of the asset. This is a way of differentiating between the value of bidders, which allows them to have a better understanding of their true value of the product and are less likely to overbid.